Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boom and Bust channel, a Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host, Terry, and today I'm doing a recap of our loss against the Giants. So there's a lot to talk about. Honestly, a lot happened in this game, and I probably won't get to it all, but, I leave that to the people in the comments, of course, to bring up what they saw. But I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Even just going into overtime right at the end, I wasn't expecting that. So I was already trying to get my thoughts together about the game. And then, we were able to string together that onside kick and then, go in for the score. Here's one thing. I don't even know where I want to go. I'm sorry. There's so many things. But the first thing I say that jumps to me is, Matt Nagy and his red zone offense. I get it. We got the touchdown. Some people gonna say a win is a win, touchdown, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not how it goes. We gotta break it down because it affects what happens in the future. I do not like all these gimmicks in the red zone. I really don't. There's some things you can do, certain type of schemes that, really confuses or, can, take advantage of a defense in the red zone, but it just feels like he's just doing stuff to do stuff. You're talking about fourth down with the game on the line, or not fourth down, but the last play of the game, and you want to run a reverse running back pass? There's too many things that can go wrong with that. Look, I sit back, take my shot, okay. Or if you're on the goal line, we line up tight and everybody goes at it and we try to get it in. Okay, I'm fine with that. I can live with that. But you want to do all these gimmicks and there's too many things could go wrong on that play. And so, yes, we ended up converting it, but still, that's not the time to me to do it. Really, it's just not. And that's my personal preference in play calling. I would do that stuff more once you get past midfield and you're going into the red zone territory. But once you get to the red zone and really what I call the white zone, which is from 10 yards in, when you get that close, that's not the time to do these things. At least that's how I feel. So I just, you see it. Because we had fourth down earlier and then you bring in defensive players and run it with Akeem Hicks. Now, I said in my tweet, I'm like, Nagy, you know what? I don't like what he's doing, but I will give him credit. He has guts. He has a lot of guts. To go for it on fourth and goal alone, but then to bring in defensive players, and I wouldn't say, that is a gimmick. That is a gimmick. You got to call that a gimmick. So to do a gimmick on that type of pivotal play, that takes some guts. But you know what? One of your best defensive players, he feels good. You show the team you're not scared to go for it. All that momentum stuff, that feels good. But then to do it at the end of the game with the game on the line, that's when I'm like, this is going too far. That's how I feel. I think those things just have a higher risk and a lower reward, in my opinion. So that's that with Nagy. Cody Whitehair, and it was rainy, and we also gonna give Chase Daniel his share of the blame. But Cody Whitehair has not been snapping good all year. I've been talking about this. He has not been snapping good all year and last year. I wouldn't say, and some people be like, oh, it's a couple a game. But as I said before, a couple a game in the NFL is way too many. Like, that's like a kicker missing 2 kicks a game. That's too many when kickers aren't supposed to miss that many, especially short ones, and centers aren't supposed to miss snaps. And so, and we're not even talking about people having like missed snaps where it goes over the head and stuff. That's like every now and then. But we're talking about they don't even have snaps where it's, at the knees or, too far to the right, too far to the left. Most centers get it, right every single time. And so not saying that Cody can't play center, but he's not a consistent snapper that everybody else is in the league. And so that's a problem. Any other center with the snaps that he's been given, they would have been benched. And so I'm not saying we should bench him. I've always said he should be at guard. And I think it's time to let James Daniels go to center. And James Daniels, as much as I like him and as good as I think he's going to be, he's had some struggles. He's definitely had a lot of good plays, but he has some struggles at guard as well. And I think it'd be best move to just switch those two right now. And so that's how I feel, because a lot of the mishandling is due to the weather. Some of it is due to Cody Whitehair, which is, I've been talking about him for a while. But then Chase Daniel, he just really could not handle the ball. And that's one thing that always worried me as a coach. I know a lot of veteran coaches, older than me, always used to say, don't worry about it as much. It's not as bad as you think. But as a coach, I'm always was like, man, I'm worried about my quarterback in rainy games. Like, the ball is slick. And so they do all the things they can do to keep it as dry as possible. And it wasn't like downpouring today, but I feel like when you get the mist, that's when it's really a lot more slick than just the downpour for whatever reason. I don't know the science behind it, but that's how I feel. And I just feel like we saw that today, where there's too many times Chase Daniels is missing the handoff or missing the snap and mishandling it. All those mistakes compounded to really hurt us in a close game. So yeah, there's that. And then Chase Daniel as just his performance. The thing is that last week, when he played the first time, one of the things I pointed out was that he has velocity, but he waits to see it open, which again is majority of quarterbacks. The really good ones are few and far between because they can throw with anticipation. The really bad ones and the really young ones, they have a tendency to really wait until it's wide open. And so that's when the ball is thrown behind people, or the ball is thrown into coverage or they get sacked because they're just waiting. And so that's what I saw today, where there was no anticipation on these throws except the ones to Tariq Cohen downfield, like on the wheel routes. Some of those had some anticipation, but that was more just let me put it up and give him a chance. But for the most part, Chase has no real anticipation. And it's not like Trubisky has great anticipation either. But his anticipation is a lot better. And I think his issue is more with his decision making and ball placement. But with Chase, he's got the velocity. He can put the ball where he wants to put it. It's just that he waits too long. And that's a perfect example when you saw the second interception by Alec Ogletree, where the route they ran got Tariq Cohen wide open down the seam. But and of course you could have put some air on it too. But again, he was open from the word go. They always tell you in football, when he's even, he's leaving. That's the saying. Because if you got a guy that much faster run into a defender flat-footed and they're even with each other, that means he's about to run past them. So instead of waiting until he's past them and wide open, you put the ball up as he's getting even with him because he's about to go past them and there's no deep help. And so that's just one example, but it's just like he's waiting to see it is good and then he throws it. And that's how a lot of quarterbacks get into trouble. And I think for the most part, that's what a lot of his issues were, besides the mishandling of the snaps. But I think it's a lot of, I gotta wait to see it open. Then he does what, average to bad quarterbacks do. They fall in love with one target and he just start force feeding it to Tariq Cohen. And so, yeah, I mean, this game overall, it was sloppy offenses on both sides. And then if anybody watched the game, you know what happened. That run by Saquon at the end, right before the end of the half, completely flipped the momentum. Momentum is a strong thing. And there's some people, if you haven't played or you're not around football, you might not think it's real, but it's very real. Momentum is a very big thing in sports. And so when the Giants, who were still losing, started feeling energized and they went into the like really, ready to go, that started to change the game completely when they came back out. And so that was a mismanagement of the clock by, Nagy on offense, waiting to take the timeouts and there, all that, everything. And so, but once again, you start having those mistakes with the snaps and everything, and then you end up having a punt and you give them a chance to go down and kick that field goal. So whatever. The momentum swung and then they came out and the offense just started to click, or the Giants offense started to click. And even though we had a good job against OBJ for the most part, Saquon just started to turn up, and give credit where credit is due. I know a lot of fans say, if you're a real fan, you got to talk crap about everybody that's not the Bears. I don't believe in that, especially as a coach. Like, you respect your opponent. And so you got to give it to him. Saquon is ridiculous, and he's not even as good as he can be. Saquon runs with better vision now, but he still is improving his vision. And he's a lot like Tariq, where he likes to bounce things, but he's bigger and he knows when he goes downhill, he can hit somebody, but he still likes to bounce things a lot. Now his coaches have been forcing him more and more to get downhill. And so he's getting better, but he's not even at the top of his game yet. You got a guy that moves like Tariq Cohen, but is built like Roquan Smith, probably bigger than him. And so it's just, yeah, he's a freak. He's a freak of nature. And this is what I was worried about all these weeks when I talk about our linebackers and downhill running attacks. Most people say you don't see it a lot. It's more about space. We need fast guys that can play in space. And I agree, but that doesn't stop teams from being able to switch up the style. So if a team decides they're going to come in downhill and they got the pieces to do it, I don't think we're equipped to stop it. And we saw today that even though there's a lot of zone plays where the Giants offensive line like completely missed assignments, and so our front was able to get past them, get in the backfield, and it looked good. Once they start putting bodies on bodies, though, in the second half, it's good night. I mean, and when the running back's not hesitating, when he's not looking to dance and he's just coming downhill, it's not much our linebackers can do. And that has worried me. I think to this point, you had guys in gaps, and you had running backs trying to find a hole to hit and dance around, and the Bears swarm them. But today, what you saw was somebody, and it wasn't just Saquon, even Wayne Gallman. You saw people coming straight ahead with intention. And the same thing LeGarrette Blount did to us against when we played Detroit. So that type of run game has scared me all year. And this, today was kind of that reckoning. We saw how they kind of put it in Saquon's hands and let him drive the, bus for them today on offense. So that's something we gotta address. That's definitely something we gotta address. Yeah, it's just so much. I'm kind of all over the place, but let's just go defense. I'll pick up there. So overall, again, Kyle Fuller, good. I mean, Eli did him some favors, but Kyle Fuller and them, like, in general, they are really good at what they do. And I know people still try to go back for me with the pass rush, but you watch that first half, Eli was just sitting there all day to throw. All day. There's nothing you can even convince me. Like, you have to be lying to yourself if you don't see how much time we give quarterbacks. And Khalil Mack turns up and he starts the pressure, of course. But outside of that, a lot of times it's just they are sitting back there. But a lot of times they got nowhere to throw. And so that's a big props to the secondary. Again, what really got us in the second half was the downhill run game. And then that creates the play action opportunity, all that stuff. And the trick play, that kind of upset me because I get all the attention was on OBJ. And I'm thinking that Sterling Shepard came from the right side where OBJ was reversing to, which would have made sense because all the defenders would have sucked up to OBJ and he was wide open. But no, he came from the left side. He came from the opposite side. And so your left corner, Prince Amukamara, he wasn't sucked up on the reverse because it was on the opposite side of him. And he's drifting downfield. So he technically was able to make that play. The problem is he was just covering green grass. And that's I hate that the most out of anything in football. To see people in the secondary covering nothing. Just standing out there in the middle of nothing. I hate that. Look for the routes. Go find some action. Find some work. He's drifting down the field because he feels like, okay, maybe there might be something coming. And he sees Sterling Shepard run past him. Now he might think, oh, I got safety help in the middle, or I should, which is fine. However, you're not covering nobody. So even if you had safety help, why just drift there and cover nobody? Go with Sterling Shepard. And so he just watched him go down the field. So that was upsetting to me. That was probably our only bust. Other than that, it was just, it was a physical downhill run game. And so I don't think we played our best football, of course, but, I still think we're solid. Like I said, all that zone stuff, any type of perimeter stuff. Now, they tried to switch it up and do a little counter and misdirection in the second half, which is what we were doing, where they're pulling a couple linemen or they're using the tight end to pin down on the DN and pull the tackles and stuff like that. And, with Saquon, it worked. And so, but I still think on most teams, any type of perimeter or movement stuff, we're going to be solid against. It's the downhill stuff that I'm more worried about, and I wonder how we're going to adjust to that. So overall, as a defensive effort, I would give us a B. And going to the offense, it was just sloppy. Mistakes, penalties, snaps, like all of it. And Chase didn't do any favors. But the one thing I'll say is that, like, I see all these fans flipping super fast. It's so funny. Like, all these people just all the way down all these Facebook and Twitter. Everybody just, screw Chase. This guy sucks. Oh, this is why he's a backup. Oh, he's a third string quarterback. This guy's terrible. And I'm laughing. I'm just like, this is the same Chase that you saw the other week minus all the mishandling of the snaps and everything. It's just, it was a lot more sloppy today, and some people weren't making the catches they were making. It's the same thing I said about Trubisky, the big game he had when he got hurt, is that the difference between you liking and loving what he's doing is just somebody catching the ball. I'm like, if you don't know more technique than just watching if it's complete or not, then the only thing you know is, oh, we caught the ball, he did a good job. And that's not how it actually goes. So people caught the ball, and they did things for Chase Daniel last time, and he didn't get all the help not till later with Tariq Cohen, but for the most part, he didn't get a lot of help to make him look good today. And so it's the same Chase Daniel. I mean, this is the guy that knows the offense, as they say. This is the guy, I mean, he had the same ability he had last week. It's the same guy. So it's funny how fast people try to flip, and how they try to tell you all week that it's the smart move to sit Trubisky, and we're dumb if we would have played Trubisky. And as I said before, to somebody I was talking to, there's no team that's like, okay, yeah, take a week off, or, we're going to take this week off. I'm like, that doesn't happen in the NFL. It's not the NBA where people sit and rest some games. If you are good to go, you're good to go. If the 10-1 Saints are playing everybody every game, then we're playing everybody healthy every game. We're not going to just say, oh yeah, take this one off. We got this against the Giants. No, that's because everybody know any given Sunday. You saw the Saints lose. We lost to the Giants. Like, it's possible any given Sunday, no opponent is to be overlooked. And so some people acting like, oh, it's just the Giants. Yeah, sit Trubisky, let him rest up, make sure he's 100%. And I'm like, I guarantee you that is not the thought process that went into the decision. Because these people are, I would hope, smart enough and veteran enough to know that's not how this league works. And so they say the doctors cleared him, As I feel, I think somebody, I'm not sure who, it could have been Trubisky himself, somebody said, I don't feel comfortable playing. And as the team, they said, okay, we'll make it as is our decision. Because why not? Why would you throw him under the bus and have people question him? You just say, oh, yeah, it was our decision. But the other downside to that is we just lost to the Giants. And if he was healthy, why wasn't he playing? Now, do I think Trubisky would have made a huge difference today? I think some of our drives would have been sustained. If the field conditions were really that bad and Cody Whitehair was going to snap the ball the way he was snapping it, then, yeah, there's some things he wouldn't been able to avoid. But I still think when Chase panicked, Chase didn't have anything to do. Now, he could have threw the ball away sometime to save yards, but he didn't. When Chase panicked, he really didn't have nowhere to go. He got sacked or made a bad pass. In those moments, I think Trubisky could have extended the drive and got us some yards. But other than that, I don't know. I can't really sit here and say we would have blew the Giants out if Trubisky was playing. So, but either way, Nagy and the Bears, they take the ownership for that decision. And so now you got to really answer like, okay, well, we just lost. So what's going on? But for me, I always felt like, yeah, somebody was like, I don't feel comfortable with him going out there. And I think the Bears just kind of, did what organizations should do. They should take the responsibility for that. So, I don't know, man. Fans are, some of these Bears fans are funny. They flip around a whole lot, and they were dead set on telling us that this was the smart move to overlook the Giants and not, I wouldn't say they said that, but they made it seem like that. They were like, hey, sit Trubisky. It's just the Giants. We'll be fine. And I thought we would still win, but I would never have said if he's healthy, sit him. No, let him play. So I don't know. The offense was slow. I mean, we tried to get the power run game early and it looked decent for the most part. I liked it. The thing that we were doing, it wasn't even, it was power if you want to be technical, but our run scheme, we were doing a lot of tackle pulling. And so we were using tight ends, Trey Burton to, block down on the edge and pull the tackle either outside or inside. And so we were doing a lot of that. And then we were doing some misdirection where they would, flow one way, pull somebody, and then had the run cut back. And one of the things that we did early that I pointed out that I really liked is that we started putting receivers out on routes in, our run games. And I haven't honestly paid attention to that enough to know if we do that a lot or if we don't. But I noticed in this game in the first half that since they were running routes instead of stalk blocking, like the whole secondary was downfield because we got a lot of speed and explosion. So they were worried about the big play. So when the receivers took off, the corners, the safeties, they were all out of the run game. And so a lot of those big runs, you've seen us cut back or whatever to open space because the corners are vacated. They already gone. And so they're not really part of the run defense. And I thought that was really smart. And I honestly wish we kind of stayed with that. We started doing more play action and then some more traditional blocking later in the second half. But I think this, as the game went on, the secondary was less scared of our receivers. And so they weren't playing off as much, but I still would have liked to see us put receivers in routes because I think that was really giving us a lot of open space to run. But I was glad to see Nagy give a commitment to Jordan Howard in the power game. I think it just sets a tone and it lets us be real steady on our drives. But we all know the story is that Chase Daniel couldn't really connect the offense today. And so even if the run game is doing well, even if we're blocking well, which I think we were for the most part, and the Giants aren't a good sack team anyway, even with all that going, it doesn't mean anything if the quarterback can't connect the pieces. So, yeah, it was a rough one. So, as far as the offense today, I'm going to get them a C+. Yeah. So then the overtime, yeah, that, oh my God. I mean, we got the onside kick and stuff. That was crazy. But Saquon, I mean, I don't even know what else to say. Saquon, there you go. You got to respect that kid. They really ran it down our throat. And we couldn't answer on offense, unfortunately. And it would have been one thing if we just got stopped. But again, keep shooting ourselves in the foot with the bad ball handling, with the bad penalties, stuff like that. That's the stuff that really, breaks the spirit. And so, the good thing, I mean, I know it's not going to be good conditions in Chicago, but I don't think we'll have a game kind of like that. But yeah, we got to gear up. We got to gear up for, the cold weather games, and it's not going to get much better. And the competition certainly isn't about to get much better. So dropping this one hurts. And, actually I didn't see the Packers finals, but, I think they might have lost to the Cardinals. So that might help. But either way, dropping this doesn't help because we got some real tough opponents coming up. And, yeah, I think we're still in the playoffs, so I'm not worried about that as far as, standings go. What I'm more worried about is kind of what I saw from our defensive unit. And so, yeah, and I want Cody Whitehair to move over to guard. So anyway, that's enough for me. Go to the comment section. Let me know what you thought about the game. Thumbs up, subscribe, share this around. Let's get the convo started. And remember, stay up and bear down.